All right, I am Chris Ferguson. Joining me is my co-host Tristan Lauder and Jacinta The Juggernaut Austin. She's 3-0 in MMA, 20-3 in K-1 and Muay Thai, and she next fights Eternal 68 on the 20th of August against Nyrene Crowley. Jacinta, first of all, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm great. It's back to be on. Good to be back on. I think I was on last fight camp as well, or the one
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
Yeah.
February. So February. My God, I cannot speak. February we last spoke.
Yes.
So
It's
yeah,
good.
that was just before the Elise Smith fight. Yeah, obviously we haven't spoken since then. That was a unanimous decision for yourself. Exciting stand up, heaps of clinch work, heaps of elbows and knees. Give us your take on that fight. What were your thoughts?
I wish that I had finished it. There were multiple opportunities where I could have finished it if I just backed myself a little bit. Like there was a couple opportunities for back takes that I, in the moment, passed on. And then as far as the striking as well, like she was hurt pretty bad. I could have finished it a couple times. But as my coach keeps saying, finishing is an art, and we will get there. Other than that, I was happy with how it went.
How would you grade your performance on a D to an A scale? What do you reckon? How did you perform?
I'll give myself a B minus. Yeah, I
Happy
think
with
so.
that?
All I remember feeling at the end of the fight was frustrated. That I
Mm.
couldn't. You could probably see it all over my face as well. Everyone asked me why I looked so angry at the end of the fight. Um, but I felt frustrated that I couldn't finish it. Like I said, there were so many opportunities to do so. But I was happy with my striking, and I mixed in a lot more grappling than I normally would. So I'll take those positives.
Jacinta, was that not like a pretty rewarding experience though, that kind of getting that rematch back and winning that, the rematch?
Yeah, 100%. I didn't think I'd ever sort of get that fight back again. So as soon as I got told that she was my opponent, I was like, no ifs, buts, whens. I don't care when or what weight or whatever. We're doing it. So getting it done, yeah, was pretty satisfying.
Was there anything in particular that you noticed like that went differently from the first fight, in terms of her skill or anything like that, or?
I think it was very interesting because her skill in regards to striking had gone up. And mine in grappling had significantly gone up. So it kind of, in a way, like evened us out a little bit, because our weaknesses had both come up so much. So I think her striking was a little better than I thought it would be. And she was a little physically stronger than I remember her being the first time as well. So props to her.
So it turned into a bit of a dogfight at the end there. Massive cut opened up under Alicia's eye. Is it? I know you probably don't want to, but it's got to be pretty reassuring being able to rely on your chin, especially those last sort of 30 seconds. It got pretty violent towards the end there.
Yeah. She flipped on like another level in the last probably the last minute. She just came alive, and it kind of surprised me a little bit. But I wouldn't say at any point I've been rocked in any fights yet. So yeah, if all else fails, I got a decent chin.
That always helps. That always helps. That's right. Yeah, you got some work in at Bangtao before that fight. What was it like with the time over there? Was that before it actually opened?
Yeah, it was before it opened. So it was just it was quite a small little group of people there. There was no like travelers coming in and out. It was just like the core group there. But that was actually really cool because I got like a lot of one-on-one time and a lot of attention, which was good leading up to the fight. And I had Jada, Ketley there, and a few other girls as well to work with. Perfect body types, perfect size. Yeah, it was awesome.
What was it like? Was that your first time working with the Hickman brothers?
Yeah, first time.
Yeah. What was that? So, what do you think you took away from that experience as a whole? It was only about a week or something, wasn't it, that you were over there?
Just over two.
Just over two, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I think the best thing, like, about being over there when I was over there was just the volume of rounds I did. So we were sparring, I think, 2-3 times a week, but in those sparring rounds, we do like 6 or 7 5-minute rounds. and they also have Top Noi there, who just went on to Road to UFC on Singapore and won.
He's a riot, that bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, he's amazing. He's like, okay, so I think he's had like 200 Muay Thai fights, something around that.
Insane.
Yeah, and then he'd had, I'm not sure how many MMA, but I think around like 8 or 9. And the way he's meshed his Muay Thai with his wrestling is just, it's different. So working with him as well, getting like my ass beat every day, and his kind of pace that he keeps as well is insane. So I think the best thing about being over there when I was over there was the conditioning and volume of rounds I got out of it.
Is he about the same size as you, is he?
I think he fights at like 61.
Oh, okay, yep.
But he doesn't walk around much bigger by the looks of it, so he's not too big.
Pretty heavy wrestling sessions over there as well, I've heard. Did you get to partake in any of those?
Yeah, awesome wrestling sessions, yeah. Because it wasn't open yet, most of the sessions were wrestling based because they didn't have like their Muay Thai up and running, they didn't have their boxing up and running. So we were basically doing like just MMA and wrestling and then a bit of jits as well. So it's perfect for MMA fight.
Back on the topic of Top Noi, did you see him after he won the road to UFC straight on the Dari afterwards?
Yeah. You know what's funny? It's so funny. Like he goes against everything like you think a fighter would do. And he'd be out there like, so when I was there, he did my rounds with me. Then he'd do Jada's rounds with Jada because she was fighting as well. And then they'd have some pro boxer come in. So he'd go have a smoke and have a Coke. And then he'd get like, I don't know, 5 to 10 rounds in with that pro boxer. And then George would have him on Thai pads. And he just, maybe the Dari is the way to go. Like, he doesn't get tired.
He's got, I actually just read a story. He did an interview with one of the blokes at the website that I work for. And he's got a super interesting past, like heaps of drug use after Muay Thai fights and all that stuff. So
yeah, I don't know too much about it, but he's just like, he can just go all day.
Yeah, he's definitely a young lad to be keeping an eye on for the future.
Yeah.
Any plans going back to Phuket, to Bang Tao anytime soon?
I don't have any plans at the moment. I was going to go after this fight, just because I wanted to get away for a little bit, but I've opted to go the other way. I've opted to go to the UK instead. So hopefully I'm going to get a little bit of training in there as well at in Amsterdam at Mike's gym.
What? Wow.
Yeah, it's all happening. But I will definitely go back. I loved it there. And it's all up and running now, so I'd really like to see it in full operation.
Yeah, it looks like a crazy facility.
Yeah. It looks like fighting paradise. Like, you get the gardens and then all the
mats. The beach for 5 minutes down the road.
Yeah, the cardio. It's got everything. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Man, how cool you can go to all these different countries and train there and get to experience the culture as well a bit. Hey, that's so cool.
It's so cool. It's the life I want, so I'm trying to slowly build it.
We'll move on to the K-1 fight that you got after the Alicia Smith fight. First of all, how did that come together? That was K-1 in Japan, a bit of a whirlwind trip for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it came out of nowhere, as all good things do. So the manager, I went to Japan about 3 years ago, and I trained there with Kana, who's the K-1 world champion now. So I was brought over there to be like a body for her and spar with her 3-4 times a week. I was there for 3 weeks. And the condition was that if I did well and I impressed, because there was a lot of K-1 agents there and people popping in and out, I got to kind of rub shoulders with the promotion a little bit. The idea was that if I impressed them and I could get my weight down, because I was fighting too heavy at the time, that I would be invited back. So I held on to that like so tight, the idea that I was going back. And then with COVID and everything, it never really happened. And then out of the blue, the manager who took me over there in the first place was like, do you want to fight K-1 at 53 kilos? And I was like, yes. Yes.
Is it even a question?
Yes, of course. I didn't even ask really who it was. They sent me the opponent later, asked me if I could be ready to go in 8 weeks, and I didn't have anything booked in with MMA, so we were like, yep, let's do it. This is a bucket list thing, so let's do it.
Yeah, no, for sure. So how long was it in between you initially going over there and training and then getting the call back? What was 2 year period, 3 year period?
Yeah, I went over in December 2019.
Okay, so literally
Yeah.
just before COVID.
Yeah, just before. Yeah. So yeah,
Um,
3 years, 3.5.
yeah, cool.
Can't math. Yeah. 3 and
That's
a
fine.
half.
Neither can we.
You get hit in the head for a living, you're all right.
I
You're not
know.
going to make it.
Yeah. 3.5 years.
Jacinta, how was it like to compete in Japan? Like, how did you find that experience? Can you talk a little bit about that and the crowd and whatnot?
Yeah, it was awesome. I feel like K-1 to Japanese people is kind of like what football is to Australians. They love it. They like everyone gets around it. Like I was surprised how many people that would come to like the hotel and the press conference and the weigh-ins and stuff that were all like middle-aged women or like older ladies in their 60s who bring up their friends and they gather around. Like everyone's into it.
That's
And they
such an
kind of
odd
treat you.
demographic, right?
I know. You don't really see that around here, really. And they treat you like a superstar, really. Like we'd have people waiting in our hotel lobby just to get you to sign a photo or take a photo with them, or yeah, there's a lot of glamour around the event, and it's yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. It was everything I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
even just the production value of everything. Like I caught your fight on TV. I didn't really catch much else, but the production value of the whole K1 thing is just it's through the roof over there. I couldn't believe the amount that the size of the crowd and everything. It was crazy.
Yeah, they put a lot of work into it. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, they kind of have a long history of combat sports in their country and stuff, even from sumo and whatnot. So yeah, it seems like they really value that in their culture, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, when I went, they were doing they did like Japan versus the rest of the world. It was kind of that kind of show. So there was 4 of us from other countries. So there was me, there was Thailand, France, and I think Germany as well. So we all stayed together. We couldn't really communicate because we're all from different countries, but we all stayed together, and it was all of us versus Japan. So it was really cool. So everyone would gather around to like suss out the foreigners that are like staying together at the hotel and stuff, and yeah, it was cool. I think 2 of the 4 foreigners won, so everything was evenly matched too. Like you would think maybe they'd kind of find people that would guarantee the Japanese the win, but no, everything was evenly matched.
How did you enjoy being on stage for the press conference? Was that the first one that you've done?
Yes, yeah, there's the first one.
How was that?
We did so many. We did like 4 or 5.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but yeah, I felt fine. I felt comfortable there. Felt natural. The promotion had asked me behind closed doors to put on like a bad guy front, I guess.
No way.
Yeah. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say that, but the fight
heel.
started, so yeah, they'd asked me to get in her face and be a bit of a bully and present myself aggressively. And even with the whole lead up to the fight, they flew to Sydney and did like a promotional video. And this video,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's how much like work they put into it. And this promotional video had me like in my hood, standing against graffiti walls and barbed wire, and no smiling allowed. And so they were really like trying to paint this picture of like the bad guy,
the scary foreigner.
Yeah, the scary foreigner from the dank streets of Hornsby. Like it's the Northern Beaches.
They don't need to know that part.
No.
Yeah.
See, it is funny because they're massive into their pro wrestling and everything over there. And
Yeah.
the old Shuto scene. It sort of started from that fake beef heel and baby face sort of thing. So that's really interesting to see that they're continuing with that sort of tradition, even with non-scripted sports.
Yeah,
I respect
crazy.
I respect
paint a picture, but it was fine. So I tried not to go too crazy because it's not really in my personality to be too much like that, and I didn't want it to come across too forced. But yeah, I tried to present a little bit I don't know, confrontational, I guess.
So, just for the future, are we going to see you in the WWE as a heel? Is this what this is setting up? Is it all practice?
Your true calling.
Maybe one day, once I've flogged everyone I want to flog.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows?
We'll see. It's good money. All right, so onto the fight itself. You ended Saho's 7-fight unbeaten streak, took her O. How are you feeling going into enemy territory for the fight itself, to fight in front of the Japanese crowd, and even to sort of a second part to go to the scorecards on a foreign country? What were those feelings like as well?
So I was training all camp so the fight was 3 rounds, but you go a 4th round if it's a draw, and you can even go a 5th round if it's a draw again. So I was training for the 4 rounds because I assumed that even if I did well, that they would give the decision to the local. So I was always training for the 4. So it was a nice surprise to not have to do the 4th on the night. But as far as going to enemy territory, like, I don't really care. Hey, like, the biggest thing that played on my mind is that I thought I would have to do more than normal to win. I thought if I just edged it, they'd call it a draw and we'd go sudden death round. And I expected to be booed and to face a bit of animosity, and none of that happened. So they were completely welcoming.
Did you get a pop from the crowd when you walked out? Because they're pretty supportive over there, no matter what.
They're
I think,
so supportive. Yeah, the
Yeah.
crowd loved the foreigners. They're always cheering for us. If you look through like all the stuff they comment on the press conferences and stuff, they love the foreigners. Yeah.
How do you feel you performed in that fight?
I'm happy with some parts of it. Unhappy with. I knew she was gonna get frustrated at some point and just like start to brawl. We knew that was gonna happen because that's how she always fights. So I'm a little disappointed I got pulled into those brawls. It happened first 30 seconds of each round it happened, and then she calmed the fuck down and I could be a bit more technical. But I was annoyed with those that I got like pulled into that brawl, where I think I could have used my movement a little bit more and just avoided the situation. But once that was over, I was pretty happy with how I did.
There was a pretty cold moment. Was it in the 3rd round when you scored the knockdown and staring her down? That was the 1st round?
The 1st round, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Was so surprised.
Either way, that was cold.
Like,
that was cold.
What's this? Like, I've never been known to drop people with my punches. I know. I've dropped people before, but it's always off of like a kick or a knee. But yeah, I was like, got this thing now.
So what goes through your head at that point when you're standing there watching her as she's being copped the standing 8 count and you're standing there staring her down?
Well, actually, at first I thought she'd slipped. Because I've never dropped someone with a punch before, so I just assumed she slipped. And then my MMA mind kicked in where I was like, oh, jump on top of her. So that's where the walk up came from. And then I was
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, so that's why I rushed over on top of her, and then I heard the ref yell break or something, and that's when I stopped. And also just the being in her face thing is just kind of a little. It's the juggernaut at that moment. It's not Jacinta anymore.
That's the heel. That's the heel coming out. That's what they wanted the whole time.
It's not me anymore.
So we'll move on to the Nyrene fight. She's 3-3 out of New Zealand, training out of City Kickboxing, and competed in one championship for. I think she was in the Warrior Series for about two or 3 fights, and then she lost her last 3. So this is a fight that was put together before COVID come into the picture. Is that correct?
Last year.
Yeah. Okay. Happy to get that one back in the books.
Definitely. I wanted that one. I was very excited for that because it's a big step up in competition for me. And as far as straw weights in the Australia-New Zealand region, there's not many, so I had her on my list.
You did say it's your toughest test to date. Can you sort of explain why you feel that is?
Okay, well, she's got a lot more experience than the other MMA girls I've fought. I think she's had 6 or 7 pro fights. And she's fought on a bigger stage, so in one championship, obviously. So harder competition than, I guess, what I've faced so far. She's a really clean kickboxer, which I don't think I've gotten the opportunity to fight in MMA. They've all been a bit awkward and scrappy, which has thrown me off a little bit. So I think this will be like a bit more technical. And she's also, like you said, moved to City Kickboxing. So she's going to be entirely different to what we've seen previously. I think she was training with Bali MMA. And we all know that City Kickboxing is elite when it comes to strategy and preparation. So this is going to be a tough one for me, but I'm ready.
Can we potentially see some of your wrestling?
Potentially. You can. I feel very well-rounded this camp, so I'm happy to go either way.
So yeah, that was going to be my thing. You're both sort of known for striking, and that can sometimes lead to an all-out grappling affair if both contestants are pretty well versed on the feet. Do you know much about her sort of grappling game? How do you think you'll stack up against her in that sort of aspect?
I don't know too much about it. I know she's a blue belt. She's been there for a while, so I assume she's around the same as me, or maybe even a little bit better. That's in pure jiu-jitsu though. When it comes to MMA, I'm going to have the edge. I also think I'm going to be a lot physically stronger than her as well. A bit bigger too.
Yeah. 7-week turnaround from the kickboxing fight. How do you feel getting back into the ring in that short of a space of time?
Really good, because I didn't pick up any injuries from my fight. And I had like maybe 2 weeks off after that fight where I just got to like do whatever I want and eat whatever I want. And 2 weeks isn't really long enough to lose your conditioning or fitness. So I feel great. It's kind of felt like Japan was a preparation for Nyrene, because she's a kickboxer mainly, and I did a 7-week kickboxing prep, so it feels perfect. What's
camp look like for this fight?
I feel like I maybe say this every time, but it's been the best camp I've had. The level of training partners I've had is really high as well. Like all my grappling's been done with like smaller black belts, so I've been learning so much from them. I've been traveling like anywhere I need to travel to get like the highest level of training. And we've brought in so many good partners, and really we've put a bit more money into this one as well. So flying people here, there, just to make sure, like you only get kind of one shot at this. So just to make sure that I get the best training in every discipline.
Last time you were out against Saho, you knocked it down, and you kind of, mentioned you're a bit surprised with your power in your hands. So I'm wondering, are you feeling a bit more confident in your power shots this time around?
Yeah, I am. We for that camp, we had worked specifically on the right hand and on learning to deliver it with more power. So I know I have that now, and I've done a bunch of grappling comps this year, so I know how to finish. So whether that comes from the striking or the grappling, I don't mind.
Dangerous everywhere.
That's the plan.
So you get a win in on this Saturday night. What's next for you? What's in the near future for the rest of this year?
So like I said, I'm off to the UK for about a month after this one. So I'm going to be doing a bit of training, but mostly just chilling out a bit as well. I feel like I've been in fight camp all year. But I do want to get one more in before the end of the year. I have one left after this on the contract with Eternal. So I want to get that one done. And that would put me at 5-0, touch wood, by the end of the year. So a good spot to be in.
Definitely a good spot to be in. Any opponents, I mean, obviously not looking past Nyrene at all, but any opponents in Australia that you've sort of got your eye on that you think would even take the fight with you? Because I know you've said in the past you have a lot of difficulty getting fights.
Yeah, no one. So for my first MMA fight, my debut, I fought the girl who was ranked number 1 in Australia. So she's out the way. She's done and dusted. There's no one in Australia, but I don't know if I meant to say this or not. But
Go on.
apparently Eternal are having an Asian card towards the end of the year. So
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I gather, I'm sorry if I'm not meant to say that, but I gather that's where my next opponent will be.
Hey, that's very, very good to hear. I wasn't expecting to break any news today on the interview, but that's fantastic.
I hope I don't listen to this.
Another segment we'll have to edit out.
Yeah, right. You're making me work for it. What are the odds in your mind? Let's say you're 5-0 by the end of the year. Let's say you win this, you win the supposed Eternal Asia card. What are the chances we might possibly see you get a crack at the UFC in Australia if the rumours are to be believed that they're coming out to Australia next year?
At 5-0, I think there's a good chance. In my mind, I'd like to get. I've always said that I want a hard international fight first, so maybe Eternal, the Asian card is that hard fight that I want. If it comes up, like, perfect. But I have a lot to prove to myself with this fight this weekend, and whatever comes after that. Just with, I don't want to be the person that is constantly writing out decision wins. I want to prove that I'm kind of beyond these girls, and I want to finish Nyrene, just to prove I'm ready for the next level.
Have you had sort of any expressions of interest from anywhere else, like ONE or PFL or anywhere like that?
We have a few. I try not to sort of get too involved in the conversation at the moment because I just want to see these next two first. But my manager, Phoenix Management, has a couple lined up. So once we do these fights, if I'm in a good position, we'll all sit down and talk about which one we want to run with. We had one offer a couple months ago in Poland. But it felt better to stick with Eternal and see these next two fights through.
Was that for KSW?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay. That would have been pretty cool regardless.
It would have been cool, but they wanted like a 3-fight deal signed straight away, which is, I don't want to commit to 3 fights with them at the moment.
More K-1 and boxing in the future, or is the plan to kind of just stick to MMA for the foreseeable future?
The plan is to stick to MMA, but if it goes again where I'm not fighting for like 6 months at a time, like they can't find anyone, then yeah, I'm gonna. I actually like boxing a little more now. Like, I love training it a bit more. And to be honest, I was already invited back to Japan to fight in K-1, so there's endless options. Yeah, I got invited.
Look at you.
Man, the traveling fighter. I love this. This is awesome.
It's mad. It's what I wanted. So I did get invited back to K1 to fight Kana, who I had trained with and who is a world title holder. But MMA comes first, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Very nice. And sort of last thing from me today, ideal vision for like the next, let's say, 3 years. Where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself?
Well, I definitely want to be in the UFC by the end of next year. So that's what I'm focusing on. I've kind of adjusted my whole life to suit that goal. And after that, well, I don't want to get into the UFC and struggle and sort of hang around at the bottom. I want to get in the UFC and just start taking over the division. Kind of like Casey O'Neill. She didn't just get in there and be mediocre. She got in there and just dominated everyone that put in front of her, and she's climbing the ranks so quickly. So that's kind of my idea on what I want. Yeah,
a lot of people say it's been said a lot lately that the hard part's not necessarily getting there, it's staying there, I think, and that's where a lot of athletes sort of fall short. They think they've hit the big time once they get their first UFC fight, but it's not quite that.
That's only the beginning.
Yeah, that's it.
I want to be over-prepared, not prepared when I go.
Tristan, anything else to add before we let Jacinta go this afternoon?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say good luck for your fight very soon, and I can't wait to see you fight in Japan again. That'd be very cool.
100%.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on again. It's always good to chat to you.
Absolute pleasure. Any sponsors? I know you've got, so Baz at Phoenix Management is your manager, yes?
Yeah.
Any other sponsors or anyone else that you want to shout out before we let you go?
I will give my sponsors a shout out because I don't do it enough. So for this fight, first of all, my gym who obviously sponsor me is Coyote MMA. Rhino Mouth Guards. We've got Blue Mountains Carpet and Dry Cleaning, Genesis Carpentry Service, Paco Janssen, AMC Partners, and Open Air Retail. And I believe that's all of them.
You're pretty much half of Sydney back in you there, right?
The Combat Dietitian, sorry. The Combat
yes, don't forget Geordie.
Just started sponsoring me. He's amazing. I think that's everyone. You're
always going to forget someone. You remember like 5 minutes, and
they're going to message me after and be like, I need nothing to you.
All right. Thank you very much once again for joining us, Jacinta. It's an absolute pleasure. Once again, 3-0, fighting at Eternal 68 on 20th of August against Nyrene Crowley. You can catch you're on the main card, I think, yes?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So you can catch the main card. Yes, how good is that?
Yeah.
So yeah, catch the main card on UFC FightPass. If you're international, if you're in Australia, get your ass. Is it at the Gold Coast or is it at Perth this one? It's at Perth this one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're in Perth, make it down, buy a ticket, and go support your girl. Cheers, Jacinta. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Jugs.
We'll catch you after the fight, hopefully.
Yes, let's do it.
Cheers. See ya.
Yeah.